Good evening everyone, I am the Barangoat and welcome to Robot Wars Reborn Cup Season 2. Here we are, it's the semi-final stage. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, we're getting down to the best of the best as we wind down this season in hopes to find the best champion possible. Started off with 80 machines and we're currently down to 10. I can't wait to get the Knights fights started. Let's send it down to BattleBots Boy, our commentator for this series, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening tonight. Hello Rich, how are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Nick. Welcome to the semifinals, ladies and gentlemen. If this were a video game, this would be the part where Mega Man would begin his epic journey through Dr. Wily's fortress. And as I'm saying that, I can't help but wonder, when we get to the title match, who would represent Mega Man and win it all, and who would portray Dr. Wily and lose it all at the end? Those questions will have to wait till the end to be answered, but in the meantime, we hit a bit of a roadblock here, no pun intended, because we got 10 robots currently waiting in the semifinals, and we need 12 of them. We got 2 open spots that are preventing us from continuing forth with our tournament. But all throughout this season, we've been saying that we got 2 wildcards that will be given to 2 of our 10 Heat finalists. And so, without further ado, let's give away those wildcards. So, here are the 10 robots that are all eligible for the wildcards to the series semifinals. But only 2 of them can earn those wildcards, which means we have to get rid of 8 of these robots. So let's start by announcing the top 5 best performing robots of the bunch. Here they are in no particular order: Carbide, Wild Thing, Panic Attack, Diotoir, and the reigning champ Supernova. So this means we have to say goodbye to Aftershock, 13 Black, Apollo, Terahertz, and Gravity. They all fought well, it's just that the others performed better than they did. So, of the 5 remaining robots, let's go ahead and announce the winner of the first wild card to the series semifinals. And that robot who earned the wild card is Carbide! Yes, Carbide has earned himself an extra life due to his dominant performance in his heat, and he is now back in the competition.
Hello again folks, so there you go, your first wild card of this season goes to Heat A's runner-up Carbide. I think everyone knew this was coming as soon as he started driving towards the pit. There were 2 wildcard spots available, which meant that even if you were just a little bit off of perfection, you were going to be in with a shout. Carbide did exceptionally well, and it would have been ludicrous not to have given him one of the spots, especially last season we did the same exact thing with Typhoon 2. It was a driving mistake that kept Typhoon 2 out of the grand final, so Carbide got to kind of reap the same benefits. And it's interesting because had he won the fight like he was going to, I don't think Tough as Nails would have had a chance at any of these wildcard spots. But fate had it a different way. Tough as Nails getting the Heat win, and Carbide here as the best of the wildcards. 4 bots left that could get one of those spots, but maybe we'll get back to that later in this episode. Keyword maybe. But anyway, let's go back down to Rich. He's going to show us the format for tonight's fights.
So here's how the format for the semifinals is set. For the first round, we're going to have 3 one-on-one matches. The winners of those matches will then meet each other in a 3-way winners melee, while the losers will fight each other in a losers melee. For the winners melee, 1 robot will emerge victorious and gain automatic entry to the grand final. For the losers melee, 2 robots will survive, 1 will be eliminated. From there, the winners of the losers melee will fight the losers of the winners melee in 2 separate one-on-one matches. The winners of those 2 matches will advance to the grand final. The losers will be eliminated. So here's how things look for the first round of the first semifinals heat. We've got the 3rd seed, the Gripper Can Opener, against the Flipper, Dantomkia. We also have another Flipper by the name of M2, who surprised us all with his performance in his heat. He'll be taking on the first wildcard winner, the number 9 seed, Carbide. But up first, we got Tough as Nails, who's pretty much lucky to get this far in the tournament. He'll be facing the number 4 seed, the speedy Storm 2.
From the Netherlands, Tough as Nails.
The Dutch crunch known as Tough as Nails emerged victorious in Heat A after taking out the revolutionist Saint Aggro and getting lucky in his Heat final match against Carbide. He's got the deadly grabbing arms at the front, but will he be quick enough to grab one of the fastest robots in the tournament?
From Suffolk, seeded number 4, Storm 2.
Storm 2 entered the semifinals after defeating Stegosaurus, Nuts, and Aftershock in Heat B. He fought Tough as Nails IRL in the 3rd World Championship of Robot Wars and won. Will the same thing happen here in the Reborn Cup? Let's find out.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
And we are underway with the Robot Wars Reborn Cup Series semifinals. As Tough as Nails goes in for the first attack, but Storm 2 is able to knock him away with his lifting arm. Both robots are now in the CPZ as Storm 2 pops Tough as Nails up in the air, trying to throw him out of the arena perhaps. Maybe. Tough as Nails might have a hard time getting the proper hold of Storm 2 due to his opponent's awkward wedge-shaped design, as Tough as Nails drives up and over Storm 2 and makes a great escape right there, able to get away before Storm 2 could slam him into the angle grinder. Tough as Nails going for another grab, but once again Storm 2 is able to push him away. Storm 2 runs away from Tough as Nails and goes for the pit release button and turned right back toward Tough as Nails just before he could go in to the vulnerable backside of Storm 2 and dish out some damage with that grabber. Storm 2 now has Tough as Nails up against the arena sidewall, going for another attempt to throw him out of the arena, as Tough as Nails chases after Storm 2 with his claws snipping away at his opponent. Storm 2 now under Tough as Nails again, firing away with the lifter. Tough as Nails doing everything he can to get a hold of Storm 2, and he just did right there momentarily, grabbing a hold of the side of Storm 2 as Storm 2 continues to ram and lift Tough as Nails. There you can see Tough as Nails able to get a good hold right there on Storm 2 before Storm 2 is able to slip out of his grasp. Both robots circle each other as Storm 2 now gets under Tough as Nails again, trying everything he can to inch his opponent closer and closer to the pit of oblivion, and he does so right there, but Tough as Nails is able to spin out of it before Storm 2 could finish his job. Tough as Nails goes for another attack as Storm 2 puts Tough as Nails toward the pit. Tough as Nails teetering over the edge of oblivion and just gets away, barely. Storm 2 goes for another attempt to put Tough as Nails in, and Tough as Nails ends up driving himself into the pit instead. Storm 2 with a nice attempt there to throw Tough as Nails into the pit, but Tough as Nails is able to escape with his life, but Storm 2 made sure that Tough as Nails ends up in the pit, but it was Tough as Nails that went into the pit himself, and Storm 2 who emerges victorious. So it's Storm 2 who will claim the first spot in the winner's melee, as Tough as Nails has met the same exact fate as Carbide when they met in the Heat A final. And speaking of Carbide, he is up next as he enters the war zone with M2.
From Taunton, Hampshire, M2.
The underdog that surprised us all in Heat C with his victory over Bulldog Breed, Apex, and 13 Black. Does M2 have what it takes to go all the way and become champion? Or is it really all just wishful thinking?
From Derby, seeded number 9, Carbide.
Seeded number 9 and winner of the first wildcard after destroying Dominator 2 and Hypnodisc, and after a promising start against Tough as Nails in the Heat A final, it came down to one driving error that decided the outcome. Here's hoping he won't make that same mistake twice.
Robotiers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
So, how durable is the armor of M2? Well, he's doing the smart thing by going for the pit release button as Carbide goes in on the attack. Weapon not spinning full speed for some reason. Now it is, as Carbide got a couple of good hits there on M2, denting the side of his armor as M2 fires the flipper and misses, trying to get a flip in on Carbide, and he does so right there, turning him up and over. But Carbide can run either way up as he continues his assault on M2, who is now smoking and inches away from certain death, and that is the end of M2. Carbide taking out his opponent in less than a minute, using that horizontal bar spinner to dish out some devastating hits as Carbide advances to the winner's melee.
Cease.
Well, it looked like Carbide had redeemed himself after his fatal driving error in his heat final match against Tough as Nails. He'll be moving on to the winner's melee, and as for M2, he's got a lot of repair to do if he wanted to participate in the loser's melee. Right now, though, it's time to conclude round 1 with Can Opener and Dantomkia.
From West Bromwich, Birmingham, and seated number 3. Can Opener.
The number 3 seed is still at large as Can Opener has survived Heat D with his victories over Elvis, the Steel Avenger, and Panic Attack. The fact that he's able to run inverted is a huge advantage for him in this matchup. Let's see if it will serve him well.
From Chertsey in Surrey, Dantomkia.
Another unseeded flipper that surprised us all, Dantomkia caused a major upset in Heat E with a surprise victory over the number 2 seed Fluffy before taking out Worm and Wild Thing. Does he have what it takes to take out the number 3 seed? Let's see.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
So, it's another black and yellow matchup as Can Opener is running away from Dantomkia. Is Can Opener intimidated by the size of his opponent? Maybe. Can Opener getting to the side of Dantomkia and getting a couple of nips in as Dantomkia is sizing up his opponent, looking to get under him and throw him around the arena. Both robots charges in for a head-on collision as Can Opener gets a couple of grabs on the front of Dantomkia, who is now underneath Can Opener and trying to score a flip in, and he does so, turning Can Opener up and over. There's the head-on collision that we saw earlier between these two machines, with Can Opener getting a couple of grabs on Dantomkia's face before Dantomkia, in retaliation, overturned Can Opener. And now it's Can Opener that's chasing Dantomkia down as they both go for the pit release button. Can Opener ends up pressing it as Dantomkia drives up and over Can Opener to escape being grabbed by his opponent again. But Can Opener is able to get a hold of Dantomkia's face again, as Dantomkia is sort of struggling to get under Can Opener to try to throw him out of the arena perhaps. Both bots are now in the CPZ as Dantomkia has Can Opener pinned against the corner. Can Opener got to get out of there, and he does so, gets behind Dantomkia and under him as he pushes him toward the flame pit and finishes him off with those grabbing arms. Can Opener getting in behind his opponent and is able to use his pincers to finish off Dantomkia. And the gripper reigns supreme over the flipper as Can Opener joins Carbide and Storm 2 in the winner's melee, while Dantomkia will have to face M2 and Tough as Nails for survival. And so for round 2, it's going to be a battle of the seated machines for the winner's melee and the battle of the unseated machines for the loser's melee. First up, the winner's melee between Storm 2, Carbide, and Can Opener. The winner will gain automatic entry to the grand final.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
So, which of these 3 robots will get to keep their unbeaten winning streak? Well, not Carbide, because he already lost the fight. But Carbide appeared to be smoking, and that is indeed the case. There's smoke coming out of his weapon motor, and Can Opener is looking to take it off completely. And he does so. Oh, and he gets tossed aside by a Havoc explosion, and Storm 2 did as well. And he lands out of the arena. We're gonna have to stop the fight and restart. Here's where it started with can opener breaking off Carbide's weapon, then gets tossed aside by a Havoc explosion, and then another Havoc explosion threw Storm 2 out of the arena. Let's restart.
Recipients, stand by.
So, let's hope we won't have another glitch decide the outcome this time.
3, 2, 1.
And here we go. Back to square one. Carbide got his weapon attached to him again, spinning up to full speed as he runs away from Storm 2, who turns toward can opener and flips him over and lands on top of an angle grinder somehow. Storm 2 presses himself against can opener and turns him over, and he slams into the wall so hard he bounced onto an angle grinder and lands upside down as he drives off. Now he's back on his feet and back in on the action as Carbide drives into an angle grinder and breaks a piece of his weapon off. That was poor control there by Carbide. Carbide getting in on the action, getting a couple of hits on can opener, and Storm 2, who just opened up the pit release button. Carbide just getting away in the nick of time. As can opener gets turned over by Storm 2 again right here. Take a look. Can opener tried to go after Storm 2, but ends up tipping forward and up and over once again. All three robots are now meeting near the drop zone as can opener is having a hard time getting the grip on Storm 2. The robot's hanging out toward the arena flipper, and Storm 2 has been finished off by can opener, and now it's just between Carbide and can opener is looking to take off Carbide's weapon again, and he does so. Can opener, popped up by another Havoc explosion and lands on top of Carbide, and there he goes out of the arena by another Havoc explosion. That's the second time in this match that a Havoc explosion had decided the outcome. Can opener breaking off Carbide's weapon again, and this time he falls victim to being thrown out of the arena by a Havoc explosion. Where are we going to go from here, judges? Help us out. So because of the fact that we had an outcome where a robot was unfairly glitched out of the arena, not once, but twice, we're going to have the judges decide on the winner based on the second encounter of these three robots up to the point of can opener getting thrown out of the ring by the Havoc explosion. And after some deliberation, they've decided that based on the fact that can opener has finished off Storm 2 and destroyed Carbide's weapon, can opener had been awarded the first spot in the series grand final. And as for Carbide and Storm 2, they are not out of it yet. They have to go through another fight if they want to secure themselves a spot in the grand final. So while they make their way back to the pit to recharge and repair, we're going to have our second melee of the semifinals. That being the losers melee featuring Tough as Nails, M2, and Dantomkia. Two robots will emerge victorious. One will be eliminated.
Recipients, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
So, as I said before, two bots will survive, one will go home. As we have two flippers and a crusher in the arena together, and they're all not sure who to go after first. Well, Dantomkia scored the first attack of the fight, going after Tough as Nails, and the Dutch machine tumbles over alongside after that attack by Spitfire's brother. M2 is now looking to get in on the action, and he does so as he flips both Dantomkia and Tough as Nails up in the air. M2 goes for another attack on Dantomkia and misses, and hit the pit release button. That was a great attack there by M2, tossing both of his opponents up in the air in a single flip. Dantomkia now running from M2, who flipped Dantomkia over the wall and out of the arena, and that is it. Dantomkia has been tossed out of the ring and out of the contest, courtesy of M2, who will be going through to the next round of the semifinals with Tough as Nails. So, after that, we shall bid do vidania to Dantomkia, as M2 and Tough as Nails will be joining Carbide and Storm 2 in the final round of the semifinals. We got ourselves a rematch featuring Carbide and Tough as Nails, but first Storm 2 is going to be having a face-off with M2.
M2. Storm 2.
Recipients, stand by.
So, let's see what will happen here when Storm 2 clash head-to-head with M2. M2 goes in for an attack, but it backfires on him as he tumbles over upside down and is struggling to right himself. Storm 2 giving him a helping hand as M2 turned himself over, ramming into Storm 2, trying to get under with the flipper. Storm 2 turned M2 over again and flipped himself over as well, driving into the wall full speed. Storm 2 is able to right himself. M2 is struggling to do so once again as Storm 2 is now charging M2 toward the wall, and out of the arena goes M2. Storm 2 had done it. He had thrown M2 out of the ring completely and has secured himself a spot in the grand final. Congratulations, Storm 2. Commiseration to M2. And just like that, the clock has struck midnight on the Cinderella story that is M2. We got ourselves a rematch featuring Carbide and Tough as Nails. Let's see if Carbide has learned from his mistake.
Tough as nails. Carbide.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
So, it's a rematch of the Heat A final where Carbide drove himself into the pit after a dominant performance over Tough as Nails. And Tough as Nails has already lost chunks of his weapon. Carbide going in with the spinner, chipping away pieces of Tough as Nails' primary weapon. Tough as Nails is falling apart like Lego as he had lost the majority of his crusher. Tough as Nails going for the pit release button as Carbide had taken off the pneumatic ram at the back, and he continued to chip away pieces of Tough as Nails' weapon. There goes a wheel. Carbide showing absolutely no mercy whatsoever. He is determined to finish the job that he had started way back in Heat A. Can Carbide take off that other wheel? Tough as Nails is doing everything he can to survive, but unfortunately he won't be surviving much longer as Carbide had taken off that other wheel and has finished off the Dutch machine. Carbide has successfully secured himself a spot in the grand final. Here are the final moments of Tough as Nails before Carbide went in to finish the job. Well, Carbide must be feeling very happy that he got that wild card. Not only did he get revenge against Tough as Nails, but he is also moving on to the grand final. The three seeded machines of tonight, Can Opener, Carbide, and Storm 2, despite facing each other in the winner's melee, have all moved on to the grand final, where 3 more robots shall be joining them in this season's finale. Back to you, Nick.
And thus concludes an exciting episode in Robot Wars Reborn Cup Season 2. 3 seeded machines tonight, and those 3 seeded machines will all be in the grand final in 2 weeks' time. Carbide number 9, Storm 2 number 4, Can Opener number 3. We've lost a few seeds along the way so far this year, but at least the ones that were here tonight, they showed up, they showed they deserved to be here, and they're looking to better their numbers as opposed to last time. Carbide is already going to be at least 3 spots higher. What about Can Opener and Storm 2? Well, I think that's the last thing they're worrying about. They're looking at that big, shiny trophy that is up for grabs. But will Supernova be coming back for it? Will he even be given the chance? We'll reveal the second wildcard at the start of next week's episode. But until then, on behalf of BattleBots Boy, I am the Barangoat. Thank you guys for watching first episode of the semifinals of Robot Wars Reborn Cup Season 2. We'll see you next week for another big night.